Welcome to another State of the Bulldogs. Tonight we have a special guest from the Samford Crimson sports editor, Kaylee Bhasin. Kaylee, how are you?
Good, how are you?
We're good. We got the whole squad here, Jeb, Mike, Grant. We're going to hop right into it. We're going to skip around the horn. And Kaylee, we're going to give you the floor to kick things off. Please tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, how you got to Samford, and what being the sports editor is like at the Crimson.
Totally. So I am from Southern California. I'm from a small town called Yorba Linda. It's kind of like a horse town.
Okay.
And I started my higher education at a university called University of California, Riverside, in Riverside, California. Once I got in, it's deserty. I wish I could say it was super pretty. It's just like desert in a canyon, like it's in the Inland Empire. Very
interesting.
Yeah. I wish I could say like, oh, it was really, lush and green. No, we're in a drought state.
That's too bad. Hey,
but
it sounds like it would be awesome. But anyway.
Yeah, I mean, beautiful buildings. It was like, I think, 6 times the size of Samford. We had like 35,000 plus students. Yeah,
that's crazy.
It's massive.
Why to jump?
So that's where you started.
Yeah. And I had to leave because after I got in and started registering for classes, they were like, oh, by the way, we're not offering your major anymore.
Well, that's not good.
Awesome. Yeah, I was like, okay, well, I can't stay here. So I kind of just loaded myself up with general eds. And so funny enough, my boyfriend lived in Tennessee at the time. Him and his family, huge Auburn fans, like War Eagle to the max. I know, weird.
It's a sad sports life.
It is such a sad sports life.
Are you a USC fan?
No.
Okay, you're good.
So
I should have vetted you before.
It's really not a big thing in California.
Right.
We're more NFL. Yeah.
There we go. Are you Rams?
Yes.
Chargers? Okay.
Big Rams fan.
Okay. That's a happier sports life.
Yeah. So like my Sundays are kind of, because I have to watch, he's also a Panthers fan, and that is just so brutal.
That's tough.
When I tell you Saturday, Sunday, I'm like, no.
That's so tough.
It is.
My sister-in-law's a Panthers fan as well, and yeah, she's like, we're going to be good. I know we're going to be good. Just watch out.
I'm sorry.
Thoughts and prayers to her as well. Because it's tough out here being Auburn and then Panthers.
I wouldn't watch football.
It's been a rough season.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, so you said he was living in Tennessee, or he's from Tennessee?
He's from California, but they moved to Tennessee. And I went to an Auburn game with them, and he was like, hey, I know you're transferring. You should take a look at Samford. And I was like, never heard of this school in my whole life. Right. Sure, let's go take a look. And it's so cheesy because I feel like everyone says this about their Samford story, but it's like you open the car door, you walk out, and you just get the feeling of like, I should be here. I need to be here. And that's what I got with Samford. Plus, I applied for their JMC program, got in, and it was like a done deal. Like, this was where I wanted to go. So I'll tell you what it is, Samford.
That's a long way. And so where in Tennessee did they move to?
They moved to a city, like a little town outside of Franklin. It's called Leapersfort.
I live in Franklin.
You did?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, there's a lot of Californians in Leapersfort now.
Yeah,
they moved 5 years ago.
Michael's a transplant too.
Yeah, we're just don't
let him convince you otherwise.
No.
Kaylee, we're making sure you're moving back to California after graduating, right?
I am never going back. Sorry, guys. Well, I'm not moving to Franklin, so you're safe there.
Okay, wait. So did he go to Auburn?
His siblings did. Both of them did.
Okay. That tracks. All right, so you arrive at Samford sophomore year.
Yes.
Do you jump right into the Crimson or?
Pretty much, yeah. I did some research before I transferred fully, and I saw that the Crimson was like this newspaper. It's like nationally recognized. And I was like, okay, I need to get involved in this somehow. So I started off as a staff writer.
It's nationally recognized. So I did read it. I read every publication when I was at Samford. I loved it. But what's the national recognition?
I did not.
I can't remember what it is. I just remember that being like on their the information page, like we're a nationally recognized organization. That's great.
They probably got some award, and the Wall Street Journal likes to give out those. Probably got a blurb.
So
anyway,
that was very attractive for me. I was like, I need to get this under my resume building, because I knew with the journalism world, it's a lot more of like experience rather than like you need this degree and this degree and this degree.
Okay.
So I started off working under Davis for sports. I was the only girl in the sports section, and it was so intimidating.
I can imagine.
And it was just like we kind of just did game recaps, and that was kind of all that we did. And then Davis kind of had his like own spin that he would do for stories. But I did that, and I did it for the whole school year. And at the end, it's like in the end of February, they have the Southeastern Journalism Conference. And my work was submitted, and I won second best sports writer in the South.
Let's go.
So that was awesome.
There we go.
Yeah, so
What
that
was
was
the
really
article
great.
about?
So the bummer is like they submit, like the advisor submits your work for you, so I didn't even get to pick my own work. So I don't really know what won. I just know that some of my sports articles won something.
That's cool though.
Nice. So
Because
yeah,
I'm sure that's
really
a
awesome.
big conference with all kinds of
Yeah.
schools there.
I mean, it's a bunch of different schools in the Southeast that go.
Guys, we have an
I think it was in-
award-winning journalist on the show tonight. Let's go. Let's
But-
go.
Yeah, it was super cool because it was like my first year at Samford, and I was like, my work can win stuff? Like, what do you mean? So that was really cool. And then I did some freelance work the next year for the Shelby County Reporter doing their high school football season. So I covered their games. I did live, like, Twitter or X now updates. I did post-game interviews, and I had one interview, and this was really awful. So I was only interviewing like Shelby County teams, whether they won or lost.
Mhm.
And this one team lost horrifically. Like I'm talking 45-0. Like it was awful.
Yeah.
Coach.
Yeah.
And I had to run up to the coach and I was like, I had like all these questions in my head of like, okay, I know he's not going to want to talk to me. So I got to ask like, how would you rally the guys at halftime? Or like, what was the plan going in? He was like, I have nothing to say to you. I was like, awesome. Thanks
Great.
so much for your time.
Dude.
I would love a quote, but thanks. Yeah, thanks for that.
How does it feel? How does it
Yeah.
feel, Coach? I've always wondered what
How does
that's
that
like.
feel? How are you feeling right now? How are the guys?
Yeah.
Man, I was like grasping at straws and
That's tough.
nothing.
Describe your emotions right now, Coach.
Yeah.
What could
How
you
do
could
you know
have been?
differently?
You
Yeah,
could
how
have been
early
like
did
the
you know you're going to
SoCon,
get blown out? Yeah.
the SoCon guy. Speak.
Yes.
Thoughts.
Yeah, talk about da-da-da. It's like,
Anything.
no, I don't want
Wait,
to talk about
so-
anything.
So Kaylee's coming to work for State of the Bulldogs and the Samford Scoop.
Yeah, we're offering a salary of about $400K. Is that within
Yeah.
your? Is that reasonable?
We can negotiate, but we'll
Yeah.
see.
Higher.
My back's getting a little heavy, so I might need a little bit of help. So
Yeah, 400,000 rocks. That's what we can give you.
Chick-fil-A gift card. Here you go.
We'll give you the pizza party that we promised Davis and never. Wait,
Do you
did we
know about
promise
that?
him a pizza party?
No.
Sam did.
Yeah.
You don't know about that? See,
Oh, no, I
guys,
remember
you didn't
that now. I
tell
remember.
anybody. It's perfect. We don't owe anything because
No,
no
it
one
was,
knows
on the
about.
pot. It was on
the
the, it was on
debt.
the episode, right?
Yeah, but they don't listen to that. They
And we are
they're
recording right now.
They have
so-
real jobs. All right. So anyway, so you're the Shelby County reporter, covering high school football. Are there good teams in Shelby County? Like how?
There are some, like, I think one of them, like Hewitt Trustful was really good, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, they've been
And
real good.
like, high school football where I'm from is nothing compared to high school football out
Sure.
here.
Yeah.
I was blown away at the stadiums and like the
Yeah.
bands, and I was standing there like, they do this every weekend? Like, that's insane. So it
You
was
get to
just
see
super
what
cool.
a real band can do when the band director lets them come to the athletic event. But anyway, that aside.
But it was super cool. And I got a lot of great experience with like a really quick turnaround because those articles I had to like take notes during the whole game. I was there the whole time, did live updates at the same time, and then had to drive home, write it up, and submit it that night.
That's the job, right?
Yeah. So it was a great experience and like
It's the
field
job
work.
we do, Sam. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, that's what you do, Grant. I sit back and chill.
Yeah.
Okay, so you did that for a whole year or a
I
full
did that
football
for their
season.
football season. Mhm.
Football season. And then what made you want to come back to the Crimson?
Well,
Because it sounds
I
like you're a
was-
big J journalist out there, in the wild.
I will say our advisor definitely brags on us more than I think. But I will say I was not like intending to go back to the Crimson, honestly. I was trying to focus more on like getting part-time jobs in newspaper, just like out in the Birmingham area. And the director, Will Heath, he came up to me one day, saw me on campus, and was like, "Hey, no one's applied for the sports editor position, and I don't think anyone's going to. You were really good at what you did. Will you please apply?" It's like, okay, sure.
Sure.
So
I'll take one for
I
the
applied
team.
as the only applicant.
Wow.
So I ended up getting it.
It's perfect though. That's
yeah.
perfect.
I was like, okay.
Even if there have been, I can't imagine how many kids at Samford were any kind of county reporter for a football season. So I mean, your qualifications would have won you the job regardless. But
so I mean, I was like, I will do whatever I can to get a newspaper. I don't like what if I'm driving an hour to Bibb County, I'll do it, which I did.
What is Bibb County?
Exactly.
Bibb County.
Hey, no, just kidding.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know anybody down there. I think we're good.
Yeah. So that's how I got to be a sports editor. And what was really interesting about that is that our whole editorial staff had never worked together before, and that's usually not what happens when it comes to like editorial staff. So it was just kind of like, yeah. I mean,
No, that's this year.
Yeah. So that was like over this. It was the end of spring last year. That's when you do the whole like next staff. We had like a couple meetings right before we left for break, and then we started back up in the fall, and like, not to pat ourselves on the back, but I'm going to. We like totally transformed the Crimson, in my opinion.
Wow.
Like our stories are more interesting. They're more relevant to Samford students. Like we have ramped up our involvement with athletics. Like the whole article with Quincy Crittenden, like that threw us up in engagement.
I'm sure.
It was awesome. And like instead of doing like just game recaps, I've moved it more to now profiles, because it's like you see Samford athletics and like athletes all over campus, but you don't know them. And I think it's so important to get to know them and to get to know like how they got to where they are, because at the end of the day, they're D1 athletes. Like that's such an interesting story to follow. Right. So that's kind of what I made the sports section.
And how you find your way to a school like Samford. Like when we talk to guys, that's our favorite thing to hear about, because it is a wild recruiting journey regardless in college sports, much less at the FCS and mid-major level. So that's y'all are onto something, Kaylee. You're onto something.
Well, I mean, I don't know. After talking with our editor-in-chief, he was actually a staff writer with me with sports at the time, but we never met that whole time we were working. Just never met. And he was like, yeah, like we just kind of wrote like updates all the time, and like it was fine. It was good, practice for like the real world when you need to go and do that. But there was never any like diversity in the style you were writing, how you were writing, and what you were writing. And that's what I wanted to change.
Well,
love that.
Awesome. I feel like I want to read the Crimson now. Do y'all? Yeah. This is going to sound really dumb. Do y'all publish online?
Yes, we do.
Oh, might need to add that to the reading material. Look at there. Looky there.
Sam 2025. They've published online now. It's amazing.
That's right.
I know, we do it every week.
So real quick, Caleb, before we jump into the big basketball week we just had, which is still quite shocking, boys. 2-0 in the week. Tell us favorite moment as the sports editor for the Crimson.
So this is more of like an editorial staff favorite moment, just because I think it was pivotal like in my career. Election night, the whole editorial staff stayed at like on campus, watched like the polls come in, the states get called, and we went out to different groups on campus. Like we have like Republicans like student group, and then Democratic student
election
group. And then we had like the Black Student Union that were all on campus like watching the election, like the votes come in, and all of us went out and like interviewed like their presidents and their vice presidents around campus, and came back and stayed there until 4 a.m. when it was all totally called and done, and collectively wrote an article about the election and how it like impacted students on campus and what they thought.
That's cool.
Well,
dang. Yeah, I don't. No offense to anyone who listens to this who's on the Crimson when we were there. I don't know if they had that kind of dedication. I don't know. I read a lot of those articles, but
yeah,
there's a few good ones. Especially when Kaylee started her the chapter. What was it?
YAF.
YAF. Yeah, that caused a lot of uproar.
Yeah, we were there. We were there for the 2016 election, so yeah, we remember
lots of stuff happening.
We remember all that.
All right, we got to stay on pace because Kaylee, we know you got a hard stop. So let's talk basketball, guys. Last week we did not think we would go. Well, I did not think we would go 2-0. We went 2-0.
You said we're definitely going to go 1-1. So I just want to point that out for the record.
And barring the miracle comeback against UTC, we would have gone 1-1. But let's start there first. Mike, I'll give you the floor. UTC thoughts.
I don't know if you all recall from the night of that game, but while you all were texting away in the group chat, I was silent because I had a dinner that I had to attend. So
that's right. I'm sorry.
I was trying, I was keeping up with the game for the first couple of minutes, and I realized we were kind of getting behind early. It was I'm just gonna shut my phone off and I'm gonna watch it when I get home. And I didn't realize it was on ESPNU, so I couldn't watch it till 20 minutes after the game ended, and they uploaded it online. And at that point, I knew what happened. But what a game! Definitely less hype when you're watching it from behind.
It was tough at the beginning.
Is Chattanooga tired of us? How many times have we done that under Bucky?
They have to hate us.
How many 15, 20-point comebacks have we had against Chattanooga?
And this was on the road.
Yeah. What a game.
Kaylee, were you at the game?
Wasn't at the game, but I always go to Samford Sports after and check the write-ups and stuff. But I never knew for some reason about Buckyball and that it was its own style of play. I just thought there was oh yeah, Bucky because he's this huge icon.
Yes. It's not he didn't he reinvented the wheel. There have been iterations somewhere. But it's its own brand for sure.
There's only so much you can do with the game of basketball though.
Right. It's like any sport. It's any sport. All right, Jeb, we'll go to you then. So Mike, sorry about that.
Yeah.
Did you watch it live?
I did, yeah. I mean, we were down 11 at the half.
Yep.
Felt like a lot more.
So
down
it's not that much.
Down 16 with a minute left in the half.
Yeah, I don't know what point. I was trying to find that. I wasn't prepared for that. I mean, look, we shot over 40% from the field in the first half. It's the team is fine, right?
Offensively, yeah.
I just
it was okay.
We've done this in several games this year. We've been talking about it all year. We did it against North Dakota State. We did it against who was the
it was North Dakota State and then
North Dakota State. What was the other team?
UNA.
Yeah.
And not West Georgia, but the other one in the MTE. Who was that?
Utah State.
Valley.
Utah Valley.
Utah Valley. Yeah.
But Jeb, how much of this was good defense versus just bad offense from you? Did we luck into their empty possessions?
Well, if you look at Chattanooga only scored 27 points in the second half compared to their 42 in the first half. And it's almost like the game just flipped. We scored 42 in the second half. The difference in the game was our 31 points to their 27 in the second half.
It was a switch flip.
Yeah. I think it's good to see that the team's finishing strong in games rather than starting off strong and tapering off. Right? So that's kind of my perspective on the team as a whole this year. That's why I have more faith in them than I guess I always have faith, right? I always have the glass half full mindset around it. We always talk about that, but I'm justifying it by saying, we finish strong and we have really bad starts. This team has really bad starts sometimes. And, I think this one, they just did it again. Grant, what do you think?
Yeah, especially being there too, doing that on the road, especially a slow start, kind of a loud crowd, not a super packed out crowd, but the way UTC's arena is built, it's basically like diagonal, sort of basically the crowd's on top of you, so they can get loud. Exactly, they can get loud too, especially with right there. But yeah, slow starts first half. The second half really just picked up. Defensively they kind of kicked up to another gear. And Jeb, that's why you mentioned. Second half, Chat was 8 of 23 from the field, 34%. And they were 0 and 9 from three. They also couldn't make any free throws as well. You hold Huff and Bonham to just 24 points combined between the two. They only made 2 threes combined with them. Then offensively, first half, Samford just kind of struggled with spacing a little bit, and UTC was kind of getting whatever they want on the offensive end. And in the second half, that completely flipped, and Samford was able to find better offense by going inside more. Jaden Burnell had 20 points.
Nice game.
Couple boards, nice games, getting in the paint more. Samford did a better job in the second half of finding mismatches. Kind of Chattanooga did in the first half, kind of finding a better way to get easier offense, and Samford did a better job in the second half of making sure, okay, let's get Jaden on a guard, on a smaller guy. Let's even get one-on-one, Rylan on a one-on-one, Josh on a one-on-one. Basically just have our athletes out-athlete your guys and find a way to get offense. So that was good to see.
That is very true, Grant. Just looking at the stat line, it amazes me. We still only went 2 for 9 from 3 in the second half, and yet we somehow came back. Kaylee, did y'all have a write-up on this game?
So we didn't. No. So right now what we're doing is, because, I mean, you guys know Samford Step Sing is happening right now. So we took the first
Step Sing.
Yeah. So our first 2 weeks we took to do Step Sing. So on Wednesday, when like they reveal everything and they go, that's when we'll again like pull an all-nighter, publish everything then. So right now everything we're doing is just Step Sing.
Kaylee, have you done Step Sing before?
Never.
Dang. So
I know
you're going
that's
to
so
graduate
anti-Samford
having
of
not
me.
done it.
But this is why.
Hey,
because
Sheila?
I did stuff like Step Sing all through high school.
Oh,
and I was just
okay.
like, I've done my
You're
part.
good.
I'm all tapped out.
I hear that. Great.
What
you
are the
didn't do Step
rumblings
Sing.
around campus? Any predictions?
Who's the
Right
favorite?
now,
It's been
You know,
2
people
straight
start
girl
we have a
teams,
lot of
right?
new groups right now. Like we have like a new group that came back. It was like a Black Student Union group, Urban Essence. They just came back since like
Oh,
the
nice.
80s. They haven't been there.
Nice.
Wow.
And we actually have 2 football players that are on it, which is so cool because you usually never see athletes doing Step Sing.
Never.
And I'm writing about that, so go check that out on the Crimson
There
when
you
it
go.
publishes on Thursday.
Well, hey,
But-
you got some Step Sing champs on the show right now, so.
Oh my gosh, no way.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
What group?
The greatest Step Sing show in the history of the event.
We were
The
both the greatest show
Bowlers.
that never won, the Elves, Sumakai Elves.
Still
And then-
finished with a podium spot. Though.
Yeah, we
still
got
got
third
third.
place.
Yeah, we should have won that year,
We
though.
didn't deserve. Okay, no.
We placed.
The bowlers in 2015 was
Right,
was epic. Yeah, we were
We
pins,
were
all 3 of us.
in that era.
Or no, Jeb didn't do it.
Jeb, you didn't do it?
No, he was busy lifeguarding.
was-
He said.
It's true.
That's all right. In my
Uh,
mind, Jeb, you were there, so that's really all that matters.
It's fine. I should have been a bowling pin. That I was
you were a
destined to be the
cactus.
bowling pin. No, I only did the elves. Shamefully.
I feel like a- I feel
Porter
like
was a
dweeb
cactus.
Now.
Yeah.
We're all right. We're off Step-sing now. Back to basketball. So we beat UTC. That was a bellwether game, boys, because if we had lost that, we are squarely in just the fray of the SoCon mess at the moment, right? I mean, it is. We'll get to the state of the SoCon in a little bit, but at the moment, it is just a jumble of teams in the middle of the pack. This win, and subsequently the Wofford blowout, which
Yeah.
it's always great to beat the ankle biters, but this one in particular, just because of style-wise, we were a little afraid of the matchup. Can't speak to how big this was for the momentum of the season, because this is an actual confidence builder. And I think we kind of saw that going as we headed into the Wofford game. So let's just jump to that.
Wait, real quick.
Go ahead,
We
Mike.
can't, before we skip over, we got to give a shout out, in my opinion, to Riley Allenspach in the Chattanooga
10
game.
points, 6
because
minutes?
he played 6 minutes. He scored 10 points, and it was in the first half. I think in the first half, when we were having an
Yeah.
offensive lull, he was just in his bag in the post, and
Kept
he kept
us
us in
alive.
that game. Got to give him some
That's
love.
true. That's true.
Here's one thing.
Thank you, Mike.
I think this team, we kind of miss free throws.
Yeah, well, that was
in
yeah.
critical moments sometimes.
beginning of the season trend. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we shot 94% against Chattanooga from the
We're
free
getting
throw
better.
line.
We're getting better.
And
So
Jaden made
16
2 big
for
ones at
17.
the end.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you just got to get those free points.
Holloway still needs to Colin still needs to practice.
Anyway, I meant to say that. Move on to Wofford.
No, yeah, the free throws were key.
Actually, Sam, before we get to Wofford, I wanted to show those UTC clips real quick. Sorry.
Well, that's right.
I forgot about those, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, so we talked about in the first half how Samford kind of struggled to find a little bit of offense, and basically in the second half, what they basically decided to do is said, "Hey, let's just get as many matchups as we can possible." Right. So I just want for YouTube and Spotify, just watch his possession. Rylan, slow finger roll at the top. Rylan's got a switch on the big, throws it to Josh on the other side, who gives it back to Rylan. He's like, "Hey, go take this matchup," and Rylan's like, "I don't know if I want it yet," so he flings it over to Trey. Trey stands there, realizes that Rylan still has this matchup on the big, and he throws it back to him like, "Hey, no, dude, you need to take advantage." Rylan's like, "Okay, fine, I guess I will." And sure enough, he gets to the rim, gets by him for the layup, right? So it's just a way of finding quick offense. And then there's another possession a little bit later, the same exact thing. You're just trying to find a switch on an easy spot or on an easy guy right here. So Samford got a big stop. Jaden Burnell slides on the floor. Samford up 4, 8-10 left to go in the game. And Josh Holloway with the ball. And he gets his switch after Larry gets out. He gets the switch on, basically, I'm just going to say it, the tall white guy in the corner, right? Josh knows he's got the tall white guy right here ready to go at him, right?
Forward D3
he's got the
player.
ball. Exactly. He's got the ball. He's like, Colin, no, go away. I need to take this guy off the bounce. So he can't get him right away. So he's like, wait, I'll give it back to Colin. And as he's flinging this over to Colin, you can see, or I saw like Josh basically just say, I basically said, hey, give me the ball back. Like, I don't know if he said it out loud, but I could basically like read his lips, say, hey, give it back to him because I've still got this switch on this white guy right here. So sure enough, he gets it back. Josh does what he does. Foul and 1. A big, massive lay would put Samford up 6 before the 8-minute media timeout. So those are just two kind of ways Samford was able to kind of get switches and matchups and kind of take advantage of our athletes are better than your athletes.
We definitely out-athleted them.
Yeah, I love that because it's not really what we do. And I feel like Bucky kind of got onto the players early in the season for trying to play hero ball. But in this instance, like, you might think, oh, Josh is waving somebody off in the corner and he wants to take it to the rim. Like some people might think that's hero ball, but it's really just recognizing a mismatch and taking advantage of it. Yeah.
You don't have to call plays literally every time down. So, okay, our guys are better than your guys. We know that we're going to have 4 round 1, maybe 5 out, and try to find a way to get an advantageous matchup for our guys to get easy buckets. And those were two kind of big instances where Samford's offense kind of got a little bit better in that second.
Okay, before I move on, anybody else, Kaylee, Jeb, any other thoughts on UTC? I did not realize we had a lot left there.
It was a big
Excellent
game,
analysis, Grant.
Thank you.
The much more enjoyable game to watch. Much more enjoyable game. Wofford coming in hot. You'll see in a minute, they are still second in the conference KenPom wise. So still highly respected. I'm not quite sure how, because if we out-athleted UTC, we certainly out-athleted Wofford. They just didn't have the scores, boys. 77-61 dub. Corey Tripp, leading scorer, 15 points. Justin Bailey had 0. You cannot have a starter play 34 minutes and not score points. We love to see it, though. All right. Kaylee, we'll start with you on this one.
Okay. I will say for me, like, the biggest thing that I was like, that's insane, was Jaden Burnell, like, 4 for 4 with his threes.
Yes.
Like, with, like, it's not, unknown. Samford's offense is great because their defense is awesome. But when you can have guys that you can rely on to hit those threes over and over, that's, like, so pivotal in these games when you need it.
Yes.
No, so awesome.
Samford goes to another level when those bigs get out. Jaden and Riley knock down those threes. It opens everything up for everybody else to go create, kind of what we saw in the chat game.
And I think a couple were even contested. It wasn't even like they were all wide open.
Yeah.
I mean, it was definitely more enjoyable to watch than the UTC game. Because
way
it's like
less
they're
of
all over the place and they're a little sloppy from time to time. But I mean, this was just way more enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, guys, tell me what's the hype behind Wofford after watching this game?
They slapped Furman, that's why.
Well, so did VMI.
I know, that's the fun part, Sam. That's the fun part. Don't ruin my moment.
Lucas Walls with 12. Guys, he's really we talk about him, I feel like, almost every episode.
Yeah, we had him in the media room after first time.
Really?
Yeah. Actually, I did want to play something that he said about
Let's hear it.
His matchup. I asked him basically a couple weeks ago, remember the UNCG game, Bucky kind of told us like before the game, like going to Lucas, said, hey, this is the matchup where you can kind of take advantage of your skills.
Yeah.
I kind of asked Lucas about that, what kind of Bucky's confidence kind of helps him in these kind of moments to kind of fill his role the best.
It's been helping me a lot. And, for me, like, I know that we've got a ton of players on the team who can score the ball. I mean, you can go down the line. Everyone can score the ball. But when I come in, that's not necessarily my focus. If the opportunity presents itself, I'm going to try to. But the thing I'm trying to do the best is I'm trying to out-hustle everyone. I'm trying to play harder than everyone. I'm trying to pick the pace up on defense, get offensive rebounds, just do that tough, dirty work down there. And then hopefully everyone else on the team feeds off that. And a lot of times they do. And that's when we start to get really rolling. And having Coach Buck support me like that always just boosts the confidence a ton.
I love it. He's quickly becoming a fan favorite. Doesn't sound like he's from Knoxville.
Knoxville's got a couple different sides.
I didn't hear any kind of twang. Go ahead, Jeb.
Grant, what did Bucky say about guys and getting their minutes and when they get on the court? Like,
I basically just asked him about the defensive effort and kind of how his team is so deep. And here's just his quote. Yeah, I thought it was really good. We were dialed in, committed to winning. If you can play 2 minutes, give us your best 2 minutes and be ready to go back in. If you can only play 1 minute, because that's the effort that it takes, you can only play 1 minute. That's what it takes. Like, don't worry about your playing time. Play out there as hard as you can, and as long as you can play hard. That means only got 45 seconds. You got 45 seconds. End quote.
I like it. Yeah, Lucas is definitely turning into, I'm not going to say he's turning into the emotional leader, but as he said, he's definitely providing that spark. Kind of that spark that Jermaine provided when he would come on and play super physical. Lucas is obviously not as big as Jermaine, but he's still a very strong player. And you can feel his impact almost it is crazy. We need a big board, Lucas Walls. We need a stop on defense, Lucas Walls. We need a big layup, Lucas Walls. Turning into a stud.
Yeah, he's kind of seems like kind of a quiet guy. Seems kind of reserved. Like you said, the last couple of games, like he's kind of showing some fire. And like I remember I think it might have been UNCG, ETSU. He was trying to like wave Bucky, like, don't take me out. I don't want to stand right now. Stuff like that. Just kind of getting chippy with some of the other opponents. And I love seeing him come into his own.
He was like getting into it with Bonham a little bit too. They got like kind of tangled up on kind of a jump ball, and he was like, basically, get this little dude out of my way.
Look, there's some soft players in the SoCon, and you can get under their skin. And we're about to talk about a team that is full of them. Boys, any other comments on the Wofford drubbing? Sent those boys packing back to Sparkle City.
We out-rebounded them, which was pretty impressive, considering they've got Philowich down low, and
is that a
we
first,
haven't been good at rebounding.
That's not
we've out-rebounded a team this year? It might be.
It's not.
No, it's not.
That's not a... But again, Mike, to your point, where you wanted to shout out Riley, he had the same kind of thing in this game. Played 17 minutes, 7 points, 5 boards, played some big minutes against Philowich, who had like a quiet 12 points, 8 boards. Yeah, just Riley, like you said, you play whatever minutes you get, you're going to play as hard as you can and make those 17 minutes like Riley did the hardest you ever play.
We were fouling the wrong guy. Philowich was 0 for 4, but we freaking let Jeremy Lorenz get to the rim. Get to the rim, and then we fouled him, and he was 6 for 6. Their other big man. But any other comments, boys?
We went 2-0. You said that we go 1-1, so
I'm shocked. I'm less shocked by the Wofford win. I had a better feeling about that game. It's at home. Philowich is their key. He's really not that good.
What'd your brother say?
Oh, he texted me on Thursday. Big game on Saturday. I didn't respond until we won. I said, LOL.
What'd you say? Big game yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Boring game.
I know we watched it, which is why the silence is just even better.
We were up by 25. What were you doing? We were up by 25. No,
exactly. He was probably cooking or cleaning. His wife is also a giant Wofford. She's probably a bigger Wofford fan than he is. So they're bummed. Feels good.
Scary Terriers.
All right,
yeah, we need to get those T-shirts that Furman had for him.
I know.
So let me run through
StateOfTheBulldogs.com.
Let me run through the results over the past week, because some of them are shocking, and then we'll talk about Furman, and then we'll wrap it up. So, VMI beat Furman in the most epic game that occurred last week. The Keydets riding high this year. Citadel still bottom dweller, but anyway, ETSU hammered Western. Wofford beat the Citadel. Mercer squeaked by UNCG by 1. UNCG subsequently squeaked by VMI. So 2 tie games there for the Spartans. VMI, 1 win, 1 loss.
VMI was so close. They were up that whole time until the very end.
Tough way to lose. Western beat the Citadel in the battle of the bottom. UTC beat ETSU on the road. Probably the second biggest surprise. But they're a good team. And ETSU, if you can score against them, you're going to win. And then Furman beat Mercer. So Furman with the most lopsided weekend, beating a pretty decent Mercer squad and losing to VMI. Make sense of it, please. So the standings did not change. Samford is still top 7-1. UNCG 6-2, UTC 5-3, ETSU 5-3, Wofford 5-3. That's kind of the muddled mess in the middle. Furman's at 4-4, but they're dropping. Mercer's 3-5, VMI 3-5, Western 2-6, and Citadel 0-8. So we're slowly separating ourselves. I think if we can go 2-0 this coming week with Furman and Citadel, we'll continue that. But let's talk about Furman. Anybody want to lead us off? Thoughts on the Paladins? This was supposed to be a big game, and now
it still is.
It still is, because if we lose, it's embarrassing. Kaylee, thoughts? What are the feelings on campus? Is there a Furman rivalry yet?
So I don't know. I feel like this is the sad truth about sports at Samford.
Yeah, we all understand.
Right.
Yep, go ahead.
So football takes center stage, even though basketball is way more popular. So there's a lot more rivalry talked about with football than there is with basketball. When it comes to basketball, the things that we talk about, and it's Bucky. That's what we talk about. And, his, performance and getting people to the games and, like, the atmosphere of the games, how electric it is. So when it comes to rivalries, it's just, like, students kind of treat every game like a rivalry. Like, the things they're screaming at, like, the people on the court is, like, insane. Things you would expect, Samford students at, private little Baptist college in the Bible Belt would be screaming at people.
That's right. Led by Moses.
Yeah. So it's kind of
when
like...
are we going to have the Red Sea again?
No, they're kind of just doing, like, people just kind of, like, show up in costumes sometimes. Like, last couple of weeks, like, our editor-in-chief is, like, in a banana costume.
That's good.
Just going...
Oh, I want to make this center stage. So, the neon night, not a great idea.
Well, I loved it. Y'all don't like
I
neon
heard mixed
night?
reviews about it.
I didn't like neon night. I'm sorry. The Red Sea should come back.
The neon night's a Mountain Brook thing,
on TV.
so that's why they went with it.
It looked like we were dressed up for a different team.
It makes it look like there's more people there, though.
It did.
I'm sorry, Kaylee.
Anyway,
I interrupted
okay.
you.
No, you're fine.
I just had to say it.
So
we need
everybody's
Moses
a
and the
rival.
Red Sea back.
Everybody's a rival, but it sounds like basketball culture is slowly seeping. And if people are wearing costumes, that's a very basketball thing.
Yeah, it's like whenever Buckyball comes on and it's like Samford basketball season, it's like, if you're not at the game, what are you doing?
That's cool.
Pretty much. So,
I love that.
Yeah.
That's very different from when we were there. Night
more
and
of
day,
that.
frankly.
Yeah, the thing that they, like, their phrase is like, pack the Pete. And if you're not there, get over there.
What are you doing?
Okay,
Yeah.
so is anybody talking about Furman? Because they're
Not
they've always
really.
been our kryptonite.
Right, but I mean, when it comes, I don't know, like, I haven't really heard much about, like, the rivalry stuff right now. I know that's probably just because everyone's just like step-sing.
I'm okay with that. I think UTC or Wofford would be a much more fun rivalry. Furman, I'm just kind of scared for their future as a
I
university.
feel like
so
Wofford
they could just
would make way more. It would just stick way more here.
Oh, agreed. Wofford.
At least Furman has
more
baseball
beatable in
season to look
football.
forward to.
On a consistent basis. Even when their dynasty runs, we were still beating them. So yeah, UTC and Wofford are my picks. Mercer would be fun though, baseball especially.
I think the Furman thing is because there's so much chatter on Twitter from their fans or their non-student fans that just
talking about my best friends like that.
Furman Twitter is absurd.
I don't think Furman would say they don't even see us. Like, is that though?
Well, of course not. Of course,
But
they
they'd probably
view
say
Samford
that-
as a peon in
Yeah,
the
they'd
world
probably
of
say
basketball.
that as arrogantly,
Well, Jeb, they think they went to an Ivy League university. And I'm sitting here like, brother, you're in South Carolina. The closest thing you got to Ivy's us hanging on the walls. All right, so Furman is 16-5, but they're 4-4 in conference. Guys, losses to VMI, should have lost to Citadel. If we don't win on Wednesday night, we should just hang it up.
It's
Am I
perplexing,
wrong?
though, because they also beat ETSU and they played Chattanooga close and they just beat Mercer, who's like up and down.
3-5. But they're fine. They're an okay basketball team. They're not terrible.
Yeah. I think
But
what
Furman-
happened is Furman was way better in the non-conference slate than people thought they were going to be, and everybody got super excited about it. And now people starting to realize that they lost like 4 starters to big name transfer schools, and even though those players don't play at all, they still transfer out of the program, and they've got a new roster. They've only got one guy that can score on their team, and it's not really a recipe for success.
PJ Smith and Garrett Heen, that's the offense flows through those two guys. Both have more turnovers than assists. That's not good.
I was looking at your notes. Did you say that they each have 42 turnovers on the season?
Each. It's insane. Each. You love to see it. Garrett's only averaging 7.5 points. I think the bright spot for them, Cooper Bowser, 6'11" forward, has turned into a pretty nice player in conference. But outside of that, I mean, PJ Smith and Nick Anderson, if they're not scoring, you're going to win the game. Like, if they're not hitting threes, you're going to win the game. If they're turning it over and hitting threes, you still may win the game.
Basically, if you just limit PJ and or he gets his and no one else gets theirs, or opposite, you limit PJ, kind of do the same kind of thing you did Chat's two guards and kind of bully him a little bit with kind of some bigger guys out there, get Zion some early minutes, get Lucas on him too. Find a way. If you slow down PJ, basically, I don't trust anybody else on that team to kind of get going and kind of get the hot hand.
All right, so we're back. Kaylee had to drop. She had a hard stop, but we're going to keep on rolling. We didn't get to say goodbye, but Kaylee, when you listen to this, thank you for joining. It was a pleasure. We'll have her back on sometime in the spring, and then if she ever wants to come on, kind of like we did with Davis. If you're the sports editor of the Crimson, you always have an open invite. Frankly, if you just want to come on the show and you're a rando, just let us know, and we can probably let you in. But anyways, back to Furman. All right, so as we were saying, PJ Smith and Nick Anderson leading scorers. Offense runs through Garrett and PJ.
Well, that Charles Johnson guy can get pretty hot.
He plays for Furman?
Yeah.
So they do have one scorer outside of the Stars, I guess.
Team that's not an embarrassment, but I do think, like, we got to win. We always lose to Furman, and that's the problem. So maybe it helps that we've got like a roster full of new players that don't really remember, have PTSD of the losses that we've had to Furman, but it's still a Bob Ritchie coach team, and they still have, all SoCon player, possibly player of the year in PJ Smith, big body Garrett Heen and Ben Vanderwall.
Bro, how are you going to be player of the year for a middle of the pack team?
Who won player of the year last year, Sam?
This is classic Michael behavior on the podcast.
I don't know individuals.
Grant knows, and they were middle of the pack team.
For Western. Yeah, Western.
Exactly. It was a middle of the pack team.
Well, Vontarius was really good.
I mean, PJ Smith is
not. He's all right.
PJ's in the top 5.
Like, I would take him on our squad. But he's not a world beater. Woolbright was, hey, you hand him the ball, he's going to score.
I mean, not many 6 foot, 175 pound guards are world beaters either, right? And he's had 15 against Mercer, 18 against VMI Chad, still losing efforts.
Dude, but Seymour is going to win player of the year.
You're probably right.
But he still has the potential to.
We're not giving him that kind of
hype.
Philowich is winning player of the year before PJ Smith.
I mean, PJ's in like Wofford, the top 5 Ken Palm right
now. Okay. All right, Mike. PJ, we got a PJ Smith truther over here. So how does Furman beat us? Because they don't score well. They do. They can get hot.
So Furman needs to protect the ball because we are top of the country in steals, and they have guys that clearly have an issue with that. So I'll say at first, like, they got to protect the ball. No
Jeb,
turnovers.
Would you be surprised if I told you that we lead the conference in turnovers? Not forced.
Well, no, I'm not
Committed.
surprised by that because our turnovers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's how we lose.
Yeah, no, we have a problem with it too. But so Furman's, rattles our cage a little bit, causes us to make mistakes. Then that's our vulnerability. That's been our vulnerability all season. But if Furman could somehow clean up their action, score points, and also not commit turnovers when we're scrappy, right, and we're in there playing buckyball, they might have a chance too. So,
how's Brownell going to match up against Heen?
score on them, that's for sure.
I'm more worried about Vanderwall. I don't know if that will be a matchup, but Vanderwall is a pretty physical player.
It's fair.
Brownell is not.
Yes, he's...
Bucky's been great about the offense-defense with the bigs the last couple games and, making sure that we've got the right matchups. So I think they'll figure that out. But, they do have two physical bigs.
That brings up a good point, Mike. Who is guarding Vanderwall? Who is guarding Heen? Do you roll with Larry and Brownell, Sprinkle and Allensbach, or do you go Larry, Allensbach, Sprinkle and Brownell? I mean, I feel like
Colin Holloway
you get the most differential.
Vanderwall.
Well, then that's the easy solution then.
Yeah, because
do you think he's physical enough?
Yeah.
He's big enough. But dude, Vanderwall is one of those annoying players.
Yeah.
Oh. He gets he's Lucas Walls but taller. Players do not want to play against Lucas, just like players don't want to play against Vanderwall. I think Lucas and Colin are probably better athletes, maybe, than Vanderwall.
But we're still kind of waiting.
He can't score.
Yeah, we're still kind of waiting too on the big Riley minutes. His minutes have gone down. I mean, he played 17 against Wofford. I think we'll kind of see more of that again. It's kind of trying to match size for size. But when you go to Samford on their side, when Samford has the ball per Kent bombs, Furman's defense is 8th in defending effective field goal percentage. They're also 9th at defending the 3 in SoCon, and then 6th defending the 3 as well. So there's just a couple ways that Samford can kind of shine, and especially if Jaden and Riley, Samford's big, stretch out the offense, kind of make those big threes. Samford can basically pull away with the way Furman kind of struggles defending the 3.
This may be pure speculation, but to your point about Riley's minutes, I think, and to your point, Mike, that speaks to Bucky's incredible handling of the offense defense, because he's still getting about 10 points out of Riley every game, only playing him 5, 6, 10 minutes. And then he's letting Larry run for the other kind of 5, 10, 6, 10 minutes. And he's not scoring, but he's giving you that defense, that more athletic defense than Riley's going to give you. So he's getting kind of the best out of both worlds with those two guys. And like I said, I don't know if that's exactly what he's doing, but it seems like that's what he's doing.
I almost wonder if, against UTC, there really wasn't a dominant big on that roster. And so Riley got 6 minutes because he wasn't needed as much defensively. He played really well when he was in there. And so him playing, 17 minutes against Wofford, I would say it's probably because Filowich is so big that Riley was the only guy that can match up with him on both sides of the ball. But because Riley played so well in his 6, but I would imagine it's more just personnel based. And so going against Furman when they've got Garrett Heen, who is built like Riley is, Riley will probably get some pretty good minutes, if I had to guess.
Yeah, you just need to throw as many bodies at Filowich as possible to kind of get him off his game a little bit. And he had a slow first half before he scored a little bit in the second half. But
I'm so glad we beat their butts. I hope we do the same against Furman. I think the only thing Furman has going for him is it's going to be at home. For whatever reason, I don't think they like us at all.
They definitely don't like the pod.
I love that they don't like the pod. And their fan Twitter is so toxic.
I love them so much.
Catherine Prince, man, she just brings... I don't even know what she brings, but she tries to bring the heat.
Can't say it on the show. I don't know what to tell you. I mean,
but how bad does Furman need this? And I shouldn't talk a bunch of crap before the game if we end up losing, but they've had a rough go of it the last year and a half. Last year, they had a terrible culture problem. It seemed like, who knows from the outside, but they had all those guys transfer. PJ Smith and Garrett Heen and Vanderwall, the only guys that came back. They go from Bob Ritchie declining supposedly Power 5, Power 6 jobs to come back to Furman, and then
should have taken the job.
End up middle of the road in the SoCon with the roster that they had. I mean, to have a guy go to Xavier, a guy go to Auburn, a guy go to Belmont playing really well at Belmont, and then I don't know where else.
To Auburn.
He's playing.
True story. Watching them play against Tennessee Saturday, I forgot he was there until like 10 minutes left in the first half. I saw him on the bench. I was like, oh, wait.
Yeah.
I know that guy.
Miss Prince was tweeting about that too, saying Pettiford for Auburn was awful when he's a lottery pick and Piggy needs to play over him. But yeah,
terrible.
But yeah, Furman really needs this one. Sitting 4-4 in the conference, like if they lose this one, that basically knocks out any chance they have kind of getting their way to the top 2 seeds. Like we said, Samford 7-1, Chat, UNCG 6-2, Chat 5-3 with a 3-way tie. But yeah, Furman at 4-4. If they drop this one to 3-5, they're kind of looking at kind of a long road up to kind of one of those top 2 or 3 seeds in Nashville.
Yeah, if this is a fairly manageable stretch before we hit another tough one. So we are at Furman, at Citadel, and then Mercer before we go ETSU, Chat, Wofford. If we can get by this Furman game, I'm going to be feeling really good as we enter the month of February. I mean, frankly, we should have, if we didn't play, or if our offense was not as gunked up against ETSU, we'd be feeling a whole lot better. But we've seen the downfalls of this team, the vulnerabilities, the turnovers, lack of creativity on offense, lackadaisical play from time to time, not focusing. Because that is one thing that I think has really picked up is it seemed like at moments in the past few months or a couple months where we would be pressing, but we wouldn't really be pressing. We would act like we're pressing, and then we give up the easiest transition layup on earth because it's 2 passes to the basket. That seems so slowed down a bit. We don't seem as vulnerable on the full court press as we have been. And then the turnovers have also seemed to slow down a little bit, but I don't know. We're still just 2 games removed from the ETSU loss, so still hedging here. Probably going to lose to Furman, but beat Citadel.
I think we need this win because I disagree, Sam. I think we've got another kind of tough stretch because after Furman, let's say we lose to Furman, then we've got Citadel, which should be a dub, but then we should have lost to Mercer.
Should be a
Then
win.
we've got
But that should be a
ETSU
win.
again. Then we've got Chattanooga again. Then we've got Wofford again. Then we've got
on the
Furman
road.
again.
That's
you
the tough
You just run through this slate all over again.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, there's not, other than Citadel, there's not, like, a gimme in there. I know that we think that we're going to crush Mercer, but we almost lost them the first time. We just crushed Wofford, but, like, we've seen that Wofford
Mercer's a
has a good team. So, like, there are no layups in the SoCon this year outside of really the Citadel and VMI.
Yeah. Maybe not the VMI.
That's
Maybe
a good
not
point,
VMI.
Mike. That's a good point.
Especially
we definitely don't have the team to just run through the conference.
Especially with the UNCG, a game behind too. They're at home, but they have ETSU and Wofford 2 games that they can definitely drop at home too. So especially if Samford gets this one and kind of gets a little bit of a cushion if UNCG drops one of those 2 this week.
That would help. If we can sweep UNCG and they lose one more and we have a 2-game cushion with the tiebreak, I would feel really good about our chances. But we still got a long way to go. Any other comments on Furman before we get to Citadel?
Another national TV, 5 o'clock Central on CBS Sports Network.
So early.
Giving us the airtime.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the rush hour airtime. All right, Citadel. 5-14 on the season. This is a game, if we lose, we might as well just quit the rest of the year. Even though Furman almost should have lost this team. If Citadel could score one more basket in that game, they would have beaten Furman, but they couldn't. Any comments on Citadel? I have 0 notes.
Citadel has dropped 11 straight to this point.
They are 353 in the KenPom. For your reference, there are 364 teams. Mississippi Valley State brings up the rear for the entire nation. Citadel is barely 10 teams below them or above them.
Is their coach, what's his name, Ed Conroy?
Mm-hmm.
Is he a big name? Like, everybody drops his name. Like,
well, his cousin or brother is a big author. I think it's his cousin. Big author.
I'm talking basketball though, Sam. I don't care about.
No, I know, but that helps add to the family name, right? So
I just feel like everybody's like, oh, they're going to take on Ed Conroy. And
no, he's not a big basketball name. No, he's a big Citadel name. Played at Citadel, was like on one of their best teams, but no. His name's famous because that dude who writes all the beach books.
His cousin is not what's according to Wikipedia. Wikipedia.
What's his name?
Pat Conroy.
Pat Conroy. I literally think he's written the most books. I think he's one of those guys who writes 1,000 books. You can buy him at the airport.
Okay.
Don't forget about his brother, who's an assistant coach at Tulsa.
That's probably what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
All right. So any other comments on the Citadel?
They're 0-8 in the conference so far, and hopefully go 0-10.
Now they would
they're
storm
almost
the court if they beat
1-7.
Yeah.
They're almost 2-6. They lost in overtime. So
the more that we talk about this, it's like, okay, if we drop against Furman, like it's gonna be bad.
Yes, dude. I'm telling you, these two games are must wins because if we lose, it's embarrassing.
But Sam, all right,
and it's not embarrassing if we lose to Furman. Stop setting the
They
stage
lost to
for that,
VMI.
dude.
They lost to VMI.
So what? We lost to Tennessee Southeastern 2 years ago, and we still ended up tying to win the conference. So.
Yeah, but non-conference exhibition is exhibition. Doesn't matter.
Can we talk about how the SoCon media was just on Furman like they always are, and how I've always said they are, and they're just wrong?
For my mentions, I hope Samford wins, or I need Samford to win for my mentions. But
that's the other thing. I don't think we can take the heat on social media.
No, but I turned my phone off after ETSU, so if that gives you an indication.
No, they're fine. The Buccaneers fans are fine.
The Bucs are good.
I just didn't want to look at them, any stuff. But yeah, Sam, in the notes you put that if we do not beat them, we might as well hang up the sneakers.
Quit. Citadel, that is, Mike. Not Furman.
Yeah, sorry, Citadel. Yeah, sorry. End quote.
Jeb, how about you do the honors? Run through State of the Bulldogs for us.
All right. So women's basketball beat Furman. Kennedy Langham led the way with 16 points. Aubrey Blankenship had 15, and Claire Johnson had 14 in 3 sets. We got drubbed by Wofford.
That was tough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sad.
We traveled to Western Carolina on Thursday and to Greensboro on Saturday against UNCG. And Wofford is so far unbeaten in conference play and sits atop the conference in women's basketball.
Be a wagon.
A little update on the men's tennis team. Men's tennis beat Alabama State 4-3. They travel to Southern Miss on Saturday and host South Alabama on Sunday. Michael, you got any tennis comments?
Did y'all watch any of the Aussie Open this past weekend?
I did a little bit.
Negative.
Yeah. American won the women's. It was pretty epic.
Madison.
Yeah, thank you. Madison Keys.
Madison Keys, yeah.
She actually beat.
Oh, no, was that it?
I think she beat the number 2 and the number 1 player in the world. She also beat the number 6 player in the world, and I think she beat 5 top 10 players to win the tournament, which is just absolutely insane. First time that's been done since like 1980. So it's pretty sick.
That is insane. I should go read up about that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's cool, dude.
America.
And she's old. She's 29.
Dang.
Yeah.
That is even more remarkable. I mean, it would be one thing if she's like 17, 18, one of those hot shots, but...
No, what's cool about her, now that we're derailing, is that she made a major championship when she was maybe like 2017, but she's not made a championship match since then. So pretty unusual
in any event.
No, none of the 4 majors. No.
Oh, okay, none of the
majors. 4 majors, like, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. She's number 19 in the world. She's still highly ranked.
Got you. So, okay.
Yeah, it's not like it's like an unseeded, like, yeah.
I mean, it's still really impressive.
But to beat 5 top 10 players on your way to...
Yeah. Insane.
Your first major.
I know enough about tennis to know that's a steep hill to climb. Even from 19.
Samford women's tennis went 2-0 over the week. Speaking of women's tennis, with wins over Jacksonville State and Presbyterian College. and women's tennis hosts Alabama State on Friday.
Jeb, thank you for running through the state of the Bulldogs for us.
Great job.
Boys, any other updates, any other comments, any other notes? I know we have some football news to catch up on. We hired a few new coaches. I'm sure there have been a couple of signings I haven't checked yet, but we'll get those updated. Up. That's right. Portal Tracker has its own page on the website. Should be a whole lot easier to find out. And then we'll do the same thing for basketball. And I guess baseball. We can just keep like a summer Portal Tracker going, which will have all the sports, football, basketball, baseball. But any other comments, boys?
Subscribe, like, rate, review, drop comments. We're going 2-0. Do all the things. Sign up on the website. Email for the newsletter. We got a couple new signees this week, so if we can get some more of those, that'd be sick.
That's right.
So, there you go. StateOfTheBulldogs.com.
I have something. A little bracketology update for an NCAA basketball tournament.
Furman's a 2 seed.
North Carolina's not going to make it.
The state, right. North Carolina's on the bubble. Wake Forest has a better chance.
Wake just beat UNC in this week.
Yeah. That was a weird one in our household. So bracketology, Samford projected 13 seed. Obviously, no idea where they placed that on the bracket.
How bad?
We obviously have to win the SoCon tournament to get there.
Yes.
But I always think it's cool to look at that and see where people are putting us. I've seen us at a 12 seed, as high as a 12 seed, but nothing higher. I don't know. I don't think this is a year that the SoCon has 2 bids, but
no,
at all.
Selection Sunday was so fun last year. I hope we get to do it again.
But Sam,
that was like the most fun.
Yeah. Hit downtown the Homewood the way they did the party too.
Grant got to go to Selection Sunday. Jeff went to the tournament.
Stop talking
we don't
about
want to get ahead of ourselves. Well,
look,
we're not
just reminiscing.
Yeah,
just reminiscing on last year. And,
it is nice that now we're the favorites in the bracketology because forever Furman was in there.
Yeah,
the whole season
was in there. Joe Larney doesn't know what he's talking about.
Obviously not, especially if Furman keeps dropping.
Well, now he does, but earlier in the season he didn't.
Yeah. He corrected.
Yeah.
Oh, well, Sam, I do have one more thing. The Chiefs are still the Chiefs, so I just want to put that.
Where are they? The Chiefs?
Another Samford Super Bowl champion.
Let's do it.
Well, hey, Montreal Washington's still in the Chiefs practice squad, so
they get rings?
Yep.
They got to pay for them, though?
He got a ring last year.
He got a ring.
I'm just playing.
He got a ring last year.
That's cool. Well, I don't think anyone... This is a terrible... No one is excited for the Super Bowl.
And he'll get one more...
You are.
He'll get one more ring in a couple weeks, so he'll have to.
These things are just like so devalued now. There's just too many of them.
Yeah.
There's Chiefs, death, taxes, and Chiefs.
Everybody was really happy for him 5 years ago. We are no longer as thrilled for Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. They are now Bill Belichick and Tom Brady.
Death, taxes, and Allen losing to Patrick in the playoffs. I love it.
Oh, that's a fun fact I saw. No one ever talks about how the Bills traded out of that pick to take Patrick Mahomes and traded with the Chiefs and gave him the pick.
Let's not act, though, that...
and the Bills traded out, and Xavier Worthy was also, so they got Xavier Worthy and Mahomes from the Bills. So shout out to Buffalo.
Mahomes would be phenomenal wherever he is, but Andy Reid definitely unlocks a different animal.
For sure.
I think the Bills would be in the same spot. Maybe they win one of the AFC title games, but maybe.
It takes the organization, like, from top down. It's not just a quarterback. Everyone wants it to be a quarterback. It's not just...
And it's great team culture. Even though with Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, no one got distracted, which is crazy. But they're back. Eagles look like a wagon, though. The defense looks filthy, even though they have basically what is a murderer on their football team. And then Jalen Hurts, he's banged up, but the dude can still just run over anybody.
What are you talking about?
Jalen Carter. Yeah. Sometimes you don't pay for the consequences or for your actions, but, whatever.
Unless you're
Jalen Hurts
6'5", 320.
Hopefully gets a dub. Because the Eagles don't have a Super Bowl with Jalen, right? That was when they won it with that dude, the backup.
Yeah, Nick Foles.
Nick Foles, dude, yes. Forgot about that guy. So it'd be fun for Jalen. Come on, Grant, share the love.
I can't do it. It's strictly business, Jalen. Sorry.
Whatever. Go Eagles, go Dogs. I guess the Super Bowl is not even for another week.
Do you think people are still listening?
If they are, they're dedicated to the cause.
If you're listening, you get a Chick-fil-A gift card. Actually, you get 400,000 rocks.
400,000 Chick-fil-A points, which is about $4. All right, guys, go Dogs. Stay the Bulldogs is out, and we'll catch you all next week.